Hi, this is Tim of the 1916 Company. Welcome and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me. I am still Team Mosso at thewatchbox.com. It is still in the description below. It is still your purchase and pricing email question line for buying this or any watch you see on any of our platforms. Please reach out to me directly. I am Team Mosso at thewatchbox.com for pricing. Today we're discussing a model launched in 2014 and built in only a few dozen copies to date. This is the Bethune DB25 Midnight Blue, 44 millimeters in diameter in rose gold. It's 10.1 millimeters thick, 51 millimeters from lug to lug across the wrist with a 24 millimeter spacing between the lugs. We'll throw it on my wrist, which is 16 centimeters in circumference. We'll get a good look at it. It does fit, though I think if your wrist is any smaller than mine, you're going to want to go with the 42 millimeter case. The watch is thin and will easily slide under a cuff, as a dress watch should. There is a little bit of a joie de vivre about this watch with its combination of colors and glossy gleams, so it's not stultifyingly formal, but it is still a dress watch. Now, I would recommend this for wrist 16 centimeters circumference and up. If your wrist is smaller, get the smaller 42. It is a very flat, flush, and comfortable watch, and it comes on a strap that we thought was a perfect pairing. Watchbox by Jean Rousseau. Now, here's the thing. Watchbox owns de Bethune, and Jean Rousseau makes the OEM straps for de Bethune and F. Bjorn. So, in a weird way, we got the OEM supplier of straps to de Bethune to make a Watchbox by Jean Rousseau strap for de Bethune, which is a company we own. A bit convoluted, sure, but the strap is beautiful. And as you can see, a high-grade cut of alligator leather on the top, monotone stitch, aquamarine in color. We have a broad sheer cut side showing the layers of leather, calfskin on the bottom, no crimping, no gouging. Now, I always recommend the DB25 for people who want to move from a more traditional brand like Voutilanen, Moser, Moritz Grossman, perhaps F. Bjorn. They want to get into the de Bethune world, but they're maybe a little bit gun-shy of some of the floating lugs, the open dials, the deltoid barrel bridges that evoke Star Trek Fleet Command badges. Well, this is your watch. And at de Bethune, the buckles match the watch. So if you have a very simple traditional case, you're going to have a very simple traditional buckle. Rose gold like the case, you can see the lugs are open and airy, evacuated. Trapeze-like profile. They have these little ogival torpedo tips or bullet ends, and those are the last design vestige of the original 2002 DB1 chronograph. Aside from the DB20 series watches, from the 21 through the 24, which were more shingle-shaped, almost every de Bethune watch has some variant of these cabochon or ogival lug tips. Now, the lugs are fixed, the case is round, the dial is solid. That's why if you are coming from something like a Voutilanen or a Grossman or a Moser Endeavor, you can find this a lot more approachable. Now, there are some character lines in the case band, so it's not some distinct, undifferentiated expanse. The lug break with the caseband is also quite sharp, an impressively intricate act of assembly and finishing. So this is a wonderful case that's got a lot of nuance and character despite being conventionally round. We have drilling and knurling on the crown, push-down crown, 30 meters water resistant. Let's start from the inside and work our way out. At center, we have modified rose gold polished Breguet style hands, a disc of grade 5 titanium mirror polished, black polished as they say, so in every angle except the one angle at which it reflects light, it will appear black. And then it's fired in a kiln to create this lovely glossy blue. This fired blue titanium is a signature of de Bethune watch design. You can see that the name here has been engraved and discreetly. From most angles, you can't even read it. De Bethune design language, even with a DB25, is strong enough that you don't need to see the name to know who made it. Now, this is the Midnight Blue, so the center dial is blue. There's also a Midnight White whose center dial is white. Here we have a cambered that is vaulted, toroidal, Grand Faux white enamel hour track. Now you can see we have these lovely quasi-Breguet style Arabic numerals. They're little diamond-shaped indices outboard of the numerals and then little circular dots between them. This Grand Faux ring is cooked up to 20 times at 800 degrees centigrade. Its base is actually precious metal, and so up to 20 applications of enamel are applied to create this lasting beauty, because enamel over time will not oxidize, tarnish, it will not corrode. As you'll see on ancient pocket watches, enamel simply rolls with the punches of the years, and while it is expensive to make and difficult to make, Nevertheless, its rare beauty is an enduring kind of beauty. Now here we have a solid dial, we have two hands. You could be lulled into thinking that this is a relatively basic de Bethune watch, but in fact, it has things that even the DB28s don't have. On the reverse, you get all that technology for which the watch is known. And unlike the 28s, which are all manual wind, this one's automatic. We have the DB2024 movement. Denis Flageolet, the watchmaking founder and creative lead of de Bethune to this day, wanted to have an efficient winder, so he gave us a titanium broad diameter lever arm system for the rotor, and then the mass is made of dense white gold. So to create a more efficient winder, he tried to make the rotor as broad as possible for a longer effective lever arm, which is good because it creates a larger polar moment or turning force. What you don't want is a torque or torsional force, so you don't want to stress the ball bearing. So Denis created in 2006 this patented cantilever spring system. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4 springs that brace the center of the rotor so it can't move in that torsional direction. And then you have 3 jewels inside each one, so when the rotor contacts the spring, friction is still minimized. The blue part of the rotor, as well as all the blue components of the movement, are matted fired blue titanium. So we have that fired blue titanium on the case back as well. So we have a very shock-resistant rotor system, 2 barrels in series, 6 days of power reserve. We have 1, 2, 3 shock protection systems, 2 functions here. 1, avoid damage under shock. 2, more rapidly recenter the balance staff pivot in its pivot jewel to resume accurate timekeeping more rapidly than if it had only the Inca block spring at center. You could see that the bridge here is blued titanium, and then the secondary bridge for the flanking shock protection springs, it's been skeletonized, satinated across its top, and then mirror beveled on the edge of those springs. So the finishing here really is quite exquisite. You can see satination as well as media blast on the barrel bridge. All screw heads are black polished, that is mirror finished. The balance is non-annular, that's to say it's not a wheel, it's not a circle, it's a yoke. The yoke is made of blued titanium, and then the masses are actually 4 bulbs of platinum that sit at the extremity. Denis Flageolet has patented no fewer than 10 balances, and his ongoing goal is to minimize the effect of aerodynamic friction, maximize the percentage of total mass in the rim, and minimize, if not eliminate, the effects of temperature change on timing. And so at a point in time, this was his best solution to that. This model launched in 2014. You can sort of chart the changes over the years. Now we have a hairspring that's actually 2 elements mechanically clamped together and shaped by hand. The purpose of that is to create a shock-resistant and thin flat hairspring that nevertheless has the advantages of an overcoil in that it breathes concentrically in any position. It beats away at 4 hertz or 8 beats per second, 28,800 vibrations per hour. You can see satination on the wheels, satination on the spring assemblies, and then de Bethune's silicone escape wheel to reduce friction as well as maintenance requirements. In short, there is a lot going on. De Bethune making every part of the watch, the balance, the case, the movement, the dial, all in-house to control quality, and also because suppliers don't want to hear that you want to make 27 dials over now 10 years. And my understanding is total production of this at most is around 3 dozen since 2014. So you get a real sense of its exquisite rarity. And again, 30 meters water resistant, so it's not necessarily a sports watch, but given the degree of shock resistance internally and the versatile style, it is a watch you can wear just about all the time. For more details, reach out to me. I am Team Mosso at thewatchbox.com for purchase and pricing.